Hello everyone, this is Tenguru back with more Bloodborne DLC discussion. For today's episode, I want to take some time to go over everything we know about all the weapons that will be in the game, and speculate a bit on the things we don't know. All I know is from officially released info and experiences from assorted people playing the Tokyo Game Show demo, but I thought it would be nice to have all that info in a single video. Many of the weapon names and descriptions are taken from a Japanese version of the game and are subject to change in the Western release, so keep that in mind as I go through them. So with that, let's get into it. First off is Simon's Bowblade. Known as one of the first hunters of the Healing Church, Simon's hunting blade. The workshop crafted this special item for him who hates guns. The large and bent blade can convert to a bow via a mechanism. But some besides his few friends would ridicule Hunter Simon for challenging beasts with the bow. A couple notes I've pulled from here is that it is in fact a one-handed blade that tricks into a great bow. When transformed, the bow moves to the left hand while the player holds an arrow in their right. The bow scales high in skill and arcane, and the blade attacks most likely scale off skill while the arrow scales off arcane. This is one of the weapons I am most excited about. It seems really solid for a skill arcane build, and the arrows seem like they will bring a really solid range game. Next up is Galasha's Fist. A lump of iron with holes only wide enough to stick your fingers, the unique hunting weapon of the arrogant female hunter Galasha. As she could not use guns, she went on the hunt with only a lump of iron, but she could easily stagger with each blow. That side of her made her a fierce, in some ways, heroic hunter, and thus the weapon is known with her name. This is a left-handed weapon with no transformation. It will perform an uppercut attack that damages and staggers enemies. This most likely scales off of strength. Could be really interesting depending on how well it combos with other weapons. Seems like it has some potential to really put some serious pressure on enemies. Time will tell if losing the ability to parry will be worth it, but it seems nice to swap between the two in battle as you run out of bullets. It's also interesting to note that the weapon damages, scaling off of strength, so it could be really strong for strength builds. Next we have the Beast Cleaver, a trick weapon used by old hunters. The thick iron blade, made to cut hard flesh, will trick and split the blade, that can be used as a heavy whip. This rough and strength-dependent weapon cannot be refined. Thus the hunt of the hunters of old was gruesome, and they drenched themselves in the stench of red blood. This is a large blade that transforms into a heavy whip, and scales off of strength. May be unable to upgrade it, or equip blood gems. Having the range of a whip on a strength build seems pretty strong. It seems particularly useful for reaching critical targets on bosses that stagger them. It will be interesting to find out what they mean by cannot be refined. Hopefully this won't limit the potential of this weapon. Next we have the Buzzsaw Hammer. This is a large mace that transforms into a buzzsaw. Possibly does serrated damage, which would be strong against certain enemy types. Likely scales off of strength, but it could be a skill-strength mix. Tricking should give extended reach, but also different damage type. Definitely one of the crazier weapons we have seen so far. The buzzsaw form seems to have some serious damage potential against large targets if a single swing can do multiple hits, especially if it does do serrated damage and that enemy is weak against it. Next we have the Burial Cleaver. Starts folded and tricks for longer range. It seems to function similar to the Saw Cleaver, and possibly deals arcane damage based on the fact that it has burial in its name, like the Burial Blade. Very little is known about how this weapon will differ from the Saw Spear and the Cleaver. It's possible the moveset is really different, or it gives some alternative damage bonuses to the ones that the Saw Cleaver provides. Next we have the Flint Hammer. Tricking sets a charge, and the next swing deals massive fire damage. Most likely scales off of strength and arcane. Should work really well with charged attacks. The concept of this weapon is similar to that of the Tonitrus, but with only a single powerful hit, like the charged Stake Driver. It's nice to see a new weapon with native fire damage in the game. The nature of this weapon seems like it might connect back to the Powder Keg Hunters, which would be really cool to meet another hunter from that group. Next we have the Arcane Shield. This is a new left-handed weapon, and the shield provides strong defense against arcane attacks. It's most likely just as effective as the wooden shield against melee attacks, but having a strong defense against arcane will definitely make certain enemies and bosses considerably easier to fight. We haven't had a good look at the front of the shield, but I'm really interested to see what kind of design it will have. Next up is the Pick of Death. It switches between long-reaching thrusting attacks and wide-sweeping attacks. Moveset seems very versatile, likely a strength skill mix scaling. Being able to switch between great crowd control to focused attacks against a single enemy seems incredibly powerful, especially when both forms have great range. Being able to trick between the two forms mid-combo seems particularly powerful in PvP. Next up is Yamamura's Blade. Sword of the Wandering Hunter from the East, Yamamura. He is a new NPC summon that was found in the Tokyo Game Show demo. Nothing is known about the transformation. All we have on this weapon is that there is a new hunter in the game and the weapon looks to be unique. We have so little to go off of this weapon, but I definitely welcome new katana type weapons. I would like to see the tricked form as either dual katanas or maybe a twin blade type weapon. The other hint at a new weapon we have is from the boss fight with Ludwig. If you look on his back, you can clearly see that the sword that he's carrying is different from Ludwig's Holy Blade. The hilt is completely different, and this one has a wrapping instead of a scabbard. It is noted in the lore that the other Holy Blades are merely used by Ludwig's followers, so this is probably the true blade that he used himself. It'll be interesting to see if it's the same weapon with a slightly different moveset or something else entirely. It's possible it could be some sort of corrupted version like what we got with Artorias, though there is no light and dark damage in this game, so I'm not sure how that would play out. And finally we have the Old Hunter's Sword, weapon used by the Seated Hunter in the DLC promo image. It's possibly a saber or a rapier type weapon. This may be a new version of the Rider Palache, as it has a similar guard and style to it that weapon does. I have a whole other video analyzing that image and the weapon in it, but it clearly looks like a new weapon with possible Canehurst ties. The expansion supposedly features around 10 new weapons, and I was able to find 11 possible ones through my research. There may be one or two other hidden weapons in the game, but I really wouldn't count on it. This could very well be the final selection of weapons available in the game. One thing that is noticeably absent from this list is a new gun. I was really hoping for one that would deal bolt damage, but I guess we will find out for sure soon enough. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below.